Wow. Hey, much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Thanks for tuning in once again. Have a quick video today, but very telling. I'm just going to read this letter from this old newspaper from an anthropologist, letting us know what the people of ancient America looked like. He's going to remind us that America had many different phenotypes and many shades of copper, from the lightest copper to the darkest copper complexion. We're at the Saturday Evening Post newspaper. This is volume 7, number 358, written in Philadelphia, June 7th, 1828. All right, this is from 1828. And we're going to zoom in to this part right here. And we go to the middle of this page, and it says here, 4 letters on American history by Professor Rafinsky to Dr. J.H. McCullough of Baltimore. It says here, first letter. You appear desirous to learn something more of my researches on the ancient and modern history of North and South America. I feel willing and happy to be able to answer your inquiries and even to suggest perhaps some new facts. The continent of America has ever been the field of philosophical delusions, as Africa of fables and monsters, and Asia of religious creeds. All the various systems and theories of monks and philosophers on the origin, climate, inhabitants, languages, etc. of America have been repeatedly destroyed by facts. All right, that's what we be doing. We be killing all the false narratives and destroying them with facts. And yet they find to this day many believers. So even though many people have debunked all these out of Africa theories and all these theories about America, today people still believe it. Same thing he was saying back in 1828. To this day, do they speak and write of the red man of America, while there is not a red man, nor never was in this continent, because he's talking about there ain't no crayon colors. He wasn't literally red. To this day, do they attempt to separate the American languages from all others, while their roots and structure are exactly like many in the Eastern continent. Just like the old world languages, he's saying it's the same. Many of them are the same, like the old world. Talking about Hebrew, Egyptian, Phoenician, Etruscan, you already know. When we are led by systems or do not investigate and compare subjects and all their bearings, we are apt to fall into these delusive mistakes. But whoever will take the trouble, as I have done, to compare the features, languages, religions, customs, etc., of all the nations of the 5 parts of this world, Asia, Europe, Africa, Polynesia, and America, will find, as I have found, that mankind is a unity with many deviations of features, complexions, languages, religions, governments, civilizations, etc., all derived from single primitive types of those effects and a common central focus. Who evince this result and a single but striking point, doubted to this day by superficial inquirers, it is sufficient to mention that there were in America, listen to this, guys, okay, here we go. Before Columbus came, nations and tribes of the following complexions: coppered, all right, coppered colored tribes, right? Tawny, olive, dusky, all these dark complexions, right? White or pale, yellow, all right, even pale or white, so-called yellow man, dark, brown, and black, so-called black, but none red unless painted. And that all those complexions are also found in Asia, in Polynesia, and in Africa, okay? Just like in Africa, same complexions were found in ancient America. Do you guys hear? Continuing, the Native American Negroes or Black Indians have been seen in Brazil, Guyana, Caracas, Popayan, Choco, North California, etc. All right? Talking about what? American Negroes or Black Indians, so-called black. Talking about copper. He just described what he meant. Brown, dusky, tawny, copper, right? Dark. By many early travelers and writers, they are mentioned by Nieuwenhof, Raleigh, Langdorf, Dangleria, Barrows, etc. Some of them, such as the Auroras or Caroras of Cumana, were black, but with fine features and long hair like the Yolos and Galsas of Africa. Others in New California, latitude 32, called Esteros, are like the Hottentots, all right, just like this African tribe, the Hottentots, and the Namuquas, Tambukis, and many other Negritian tribes. All right, the people in California are just like these tribes. Listen, he's comparing them, not black, but dark brown, yet complete Negroes with large, thick lips, broad, flat noses, and very ugly touch to hijack with hair crisped or curly, all right, crisped or curly or woolly, right? Woolly. The Negro features belong to the form of the head rather than the color, since these are in Africa, Asia, and Polynesia, black, brown, yellow, olive, coppery, and even white Negroes, so-called white, light-skinned Negroes, huh? The American Negroes of Cuarecua in Choco, the great level plain 300 miles long, 90 wide, separating the Andes of South America from the mountains of Panama, were black and with woolly heads in 1506, okay? They are mentioned by Dangleria and all the early accurate writers. The two last travelers who have seen these Negroes are Stevenson, 20 years travel in South America, London, 1825, and Mollien travels in Colombia, Paris, 1824. Stevenson says that the Indians of Manabi, comprising the districts of Esmeraldas, Rio Verde, and Atacamas on the seashore of Popayan are all Sambos. That's supposedly the mix between a Negro and an American Indian. So make sure to dodge the hijack when they're talking about Sambos. We're going to get into so-called Sambos. Let's not generalize and assume that has to be mixed with African. So either way, we're going to get into the Esmeralda region and the so-called Sambos, who supposedly were produced by a ship full of Negroes who came in this country before the Spaniards, killed the former Indians, kept the women and formed a mixed race. They are tall, of a blackish color, with soft curly hair, large eyes, flat noses, thick lips, etc., while the true Sambos, or modern offspring of Indians and Negroes, are of a deep copper color, with thick hair, not curled, small eyes, sharp noses, and good lips. In another part of the second volume of Stevenson is the following passage. The Punkais of Riobamba and Popayan have a tradition that once before the Spaniards came, they were invaded from the west by a nation of monkeys, and as the Spaniards came the same way, they took them also at first for monkeys. So they mistook the Spaniards for monkeys, huh? In Mollien, the following notice is found. The Indians of Choco, whose true name in Gauna or Chuanas nation, where Dangleria's Negroes were found, are very ugly and black. He says, all right, that's the hijack with his prejudices, right? Their language harsh and rough. Some words are given which may be compared with other Negro languages. For instance, man gemeora, woman de cupera, amba, numi, campa, ayapa, conambo. In the same quarter, or the west shore of Popayan, we have on record two other invasions by sea. The first is that of the giants mentioned by La Vega in his History of Peru, all right? Giants. And the second, that of the Squeres nation, 500 years before Columbus, mentioned by Hervas. The white Indians of America have been seen almost everywhere, as well as the bearded Indians, all right? Or light-skinned people were here, and people with beards. To quote my authorities, would fill many pages. There's many references of that. We've gone over a lot. Many tribes in the Antilles, Florida, Guyana, Peru, Chile, are represented as white as the Spaniards. Dodge the hijack, because the Spaniards weren't even so-called white. I want to see those representations. By the early writers, Yeah, the same people who are whitewashing, right? Who had no system to support like modern theorists, and many had bushy beards. In fact, we find all the races, features, and complexions of mankind in America. In fact, again, we find all the races, features, and complexions of mankind in America. And we find also out of it many nations with scanty beards or plucking it as a troublesome appendage. Thus, the three great divisions of mankind in regard to their complexion were found in America. Previous to the modern colonization, these three races have erroneously been called white, red, and black. All right, they've been called by crayon colors. That's an error, to which I have proposed to substitute the terms of pale, tawny, and dark. He'd rather use those, which is still tags and generalizations, which describe them completely, although it is not the color, but rather the features which distinguish them. The geographical corresponding appellations of Caucasian, Indian, and Negritian races may be equally objectionable, as well as the traditional names of Japhetian, Semitic, and Ammonian races, because they are based upon theoretical origins. Whatever be their names, although once very distinct, and probably the three primitive derivations of mankind, they have since, like their primitive languages, become so much entangled, intermixed, and changed so as to have resumed many other shades: white, whitish, rosy, ruddy, tawny, olive, bronzed, coppery, yellowish, yellow, brown, brownish, blackish, black, ebony, etc., which are now found all over the 5 parts of the earth. A similar confusion and intermixture has occurred with languages which have split from primitive stocks into mother tongues, dead, holy, written, and spoken languages, dialects, and subdialects, etc. Thus, in the course of time, producing all the immense varieties of speech that have existed or do yet exist, all of which can, however, be traced to each other by comparative philology, deeply searched in spite of theories and the apparent confusion of diversity and difficulties. May 1828, C.F. Rafinsky. All right, that was the article from 1828, the letters of Rafinsky, letting you know ancient America was very diverse. This is the true old world. Let me just back up again so you guys can see where I am. Again, this was the Saturday Evening Post from June 7th, 1828, Volume 7. And here's a little refresh what we just read. Again, he let us know that before Columbus came, nations and tribes of the following complexions: copper, tawny, olive, dusky, white or pale yellow, dark brown, and black. All right, all these complexions were in America before Columbus. You can just look at the highlighted parts in yellow for the references we just read. Again, all the races, all the features, all the types of hair, all that existed in ancient America. You got to break your stereotypes and prejudices when it comes to describing people from different continents of the world. Another article here from the 1800s that I thought you guys should have as reference. You can find this online. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Told you guys it was a quick video. Thanks for tuning in once again, though. Really appreciate that. Much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Hawa.